What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at this 2024 Chevy Colorado Z71. So I really wanted to make a video on the ZR2 Bison, and we actually had one, and I went to get it and it sold. So I was super disappointed. So I kind of settled and went and found this Z71. So we're still gonna take a look at it. We're gonna take a look at all the different features that it has to offer, and I'll put some footage on screen of the ZR2 Bison that I wanted to take a look at. And maybe soon we'll get another one and I'll take a look at it on this channel. But I haven't talked about the Colorado yet in 2024. It was recently refreshed and kind of redesigned in 2023, kind of the next generation of the Colorado here. So we have a lot of nice brand new features that have only been around for 1 year so far. So we'll cover all of that in this video. And this one we have here again is the Z71. Color we have here is just called black, and the interior is jet black with these red accents, which look really cool. We'll take a look at that in just a bit. But let's go ahead and just start up front, talk about everything that the Z71 has to offer. Obviously, you're gonna have some badging that is specific to the Z71, and there you can see it. Nice big Chevy bow tie in the center. That's the blacked out bow tie. Really cool design on the hood here with these really sharp leading lines here. It looks great. Up front here, you've got a full suite of LED headlights. So right here, and then you've got LED fogs up here as well. Some plastic around those, some body color splits, and then a matte black grille here that actually is plastic here. Well, they're always plastic, but this is almost like cladding plastic. But you have a lot of nice little accents and things, kind of a silver gray accent at the bottom, and then you've got your little red tow hooks down at the very bottom peeking through, which you can see a lot better when you're not standing next to it. Under the hood of every single Colorado, you're going to have the same 2.7 liter turbo max inline 4 engine, but you're going to have different horsepower numbers depending on which trim level you go with. So on the lower end trims like the work truck and the LT, you're going to have 237 horsepower, but up on higher trim levels, Z71, Trail Boss, ZR2, you're going to have 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. This Colorado sits on these 20-inch dark Android aluminum wheels. They're a nice two-tone wheel. Got a little salt on them. We've had some colder days here recently. You don't actually have any cladding around the wheel wells here. This is just sheet metal, which is interesting. And then you've got your Colorado badging here. You've got body-colored manual folding mirrors here. These are power adjustable and they're heated. Keyless access here on the door panels, just with this little silver button here. So moving to the tailgate area, you've got some really nice big tail lights here. They have a little bit of a sculpted element on the sides. Then you have your Chevrolet word mark here stamped into the actual sheet metal. You do have your rear view camera right here as well. And then this tailgate is not an easy lower tailgate, but you do have a ruler on the panel here, and you've got a very, very good sized truck bed. I'll have all dimensions on screen for you, but you've got some hooks back there. You've got no bed liner. I think you could add that easily. You do have a full size outlet back there as well. And then down here, you have your towing hitch. Now your towing capacities are going to be a little bit different depending on which trim you get. So if you get the lower end work truck and LT trucks, you're going to have 3,500 pounds of towing capacity. Here on the Trail Boss and the Z71, that's going to jump all the way up to 7,700 pounds of towing capacity. But if you go for the most expensive ZR2 Bison trim, it's going to drop a little bit to about 6,000 pounds of towing capacity. Really, that's going to help dictate which trim you need to get depending on what your needs are towing wise. But you do have a little bit of a bumper applique here. It's got a cool design to it. Then you've got all your hookups for your electronics and stuff behind your license plate there, and you do have a spare tire up underneath. You can see it peeking through the license plate there. Some steps on the side, and then you have your exhaust way down there. Some more Z71 badging on the side here as well. But that's pretty much everything back here. Let's go ahead and hop inside. All right, so hopping inside the cabin, let's talk about all of this stuff that we've got going on. Now, as far as buttons and dials go, there isn't a whole lot happening, but you do have a whole lot of screen happening here, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Now, as far as the cabin materials, I mean, this is gonna help keep the cost on the low end. This vehicle, I think, is right around $43,000. Some of the cabin materials are not gonna be the best. Seating materials not gonna be the best, but again, this is a truck, right? I always talk about knowing your audience and knowing your demographic as a car manufacturer, and it's a truck for truck people. If you want more premium, go up to the Silverado, get a high country. If you want luxury, go to a Ram, I don't know, something a little more high end. This is not that. This is for working, productivity, things like that. Plastic on the doors here, lots of it. It works its way all the way across the dashboard. You have a little bit of fabric, a little bit of some chrome accents on the door handles, and you have some satin accents on the doors. And then you have more of this really ruggedy, scratchy fabric material, almost like a plasticky leather material with some some red accent stitching, and that works its way over the dashboard as well. It's on the steering wheel as well. You got a leather wrapped steering wheel here with that accent stitching, and that fabric runs all the way across, up and over, and then you have some gloss black accents around the glove box area, and then more of that gloss black or piano black plastic around the center console here where your gear shift is, which is my least favorite spot for it. It's not great, guys. Then you have more scratchy fabric and more satin accents, more scratchy fabric here on the armrest, which I really don't like because that's right where your arm goes, not the best, but you do have accent stitching there, which looks nice. Then a little bit more leatherette on the gear shift here. Window controls, mirror controls, brightness control, and other than that, there's not a lot of buttons over on this side. You do have the kind of Camaro style or Blazer style vents with the twist to close, and then you can pivot them around inside of their little chamber there. This stock back here for the lights and wipers, it's kind of a combo stock here. You also have a trailering brake down here. I think you're gonna notice there's a lot of new things and a lot of old things kind of combined together. So some of the materials kind of feel outdated and a little bit old, but some of the design features, obviously the screens, but even some of the things like the vent design and then like the wiper stock here, this is very kind of new Chevy design language here. You actually don't have any lighting controls. Your lighting controls are gonna be on screen. So you gotta push some on-screen buttons to get your lights to turn on, but you do have your brights right here, so that's easy to control. You do have your cruise control buttons on the left side of the steering wheel and your media control buttons on the right side. You can also control your 11-inch driver information display back here, which we can take a look at by turning the vehicle on. And you're gonna be greeted by this massive 11-inch display here, and here you can switch through some different views. So you've got like navigation built in, powered by Google, which looks really good. You can switch to music and change your different music things. You've got Google Podcast built in. This whole system is built on Google. You guys probably know that. And these buttons are really easy to use to control that infotainment display. Got a couple different layouts you can look at as well. Tons and tons of vehicle information on this screen. It's kind of crazy how much, and then you can see kind of your adaptive cruise systems. There's cleaner designs, there's chaotic designs, there's everything in between. Whatever you guys like, it's going to be on there. Then moving over here to this 11-inch display here, this is going to have all of your kind of wireless systems. So you've got built-in Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, got the Google Play Store, Google Assistant, Alexa built in. You got a whole trailering menu because this has the advanced trailering package. Google Podcast, Google News, built-in navigation, like I said, powered by Google. If you go into this little controls tab, you can turn on your fog lights, you can turn on your auto high beams, you can go to your camera menu, you can lock your windows, hill descent control, traction control, and even more doors, windows, lights. And then you've got your off-road mode button here. That'll give you things like steering angle, G's and things like that, terrain, all that kind of stuff. You even have something called air down mode, which is really cool. It'll let you set your tires to a specific PSI that you want it to be, so you can set that. And then when you start to air it down, your horn will honk once you get to that PSI, which I think is super helpful, especially if you don't have like a specific one that shows a readout. You're just kind of letting air out of your tires. That's really helpful. And then this camera menu is going to show your backup camera and then more of a trailer hitch straight down view. Then of course you'll have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which look great as well on this display. You can control your climate as well with these dials here. So temperature, fan speed, where you want your air to come out, defoggers, all that kind of stuff's right there. You do have some vents here, push to start button as well to the left, and then you have a couple controls down here in this little area. These buttons feel really nice. So you've got your auxiliary mode to turn on your power outlet in the back. You've got your lane keeping assist. You got your flashers here, auto start stop engine, and then you've got a button to put all your windows down simultaneously. One USB-C port, one USB-A port. They're really leaning into the camo look here. So you've got camo on this little pad area. You've got kind of a digital camo on the seating surfaces here. Again, like I said, you can switch your different drive modes. You can have auto, you can have four-wheel low, four-wheel high, and two-wheel high. Got electronic parking brake here. You've got your manual mode here on the side of your shift knob, and then you've got your 8-speed automatic transmission here with your manual mode as well as your low mode. 2 cup holders, which I'm taking advantage of, and you have more camo at the bottom of the cup holders. Your phone can sit right there in the middle, and then under this center console, you have a little tray you can take out and a nice deep pocket with a 12-volt outlet in there as well. And then you have 2 cup holders back here as well as another little phone holder. Now, as far as the seating surfaces go, these are a jet black and adrenaline red Evotex seating surface. So they're kind of like a weather-resistant cloth, kind of scratchy material. They do have some little accents here in that adrenaline red and that digital camo, like I mentioned, more fabric up top and then some accent stitching on the sides. They're both manually adjustable seats though. The driver is a 6-way manually adjustable. The passenger is a 4-way manually adjustable seat. Big rearview mirror here, but it's, you know, pretty thin and not very feature rich. You got your OnStar buttons and then your dome light buttons up here as well. All right, so hopping into the back seats of the Colorado here. One thing that I noticed right off the bat is you sit higher up than the driver and passenger, which is kind of funny. I can like see over the driver's head, which normally, you know, the driver's seat would be like eye level with you. So that's a really funny thing. But you don't have a ton of space back here. As far as shoulder room goes, you have great headroom and you have okay leg room. It's not amazing. I moved my seat up a tiny bit closer than I'd normally sit at 6'1". My normal position, my knees would probably be touching the back seat. One thing to mention too is that you're really not going to get any differentiation, hardly at all, between the different trim levels because they're all four-door crew cab models. That's the only option you can get. This is not like a single cab, a double cab, and then you can get a crew cab that has more space. This is kind of the default amount of space you're going to get in the Colorado, which is understandable. This isn't a full-size truck. This is a more compact truck. That's what you'd come to expect, but the legroom is not great, but you can tuck your feet up underneath to get a little bit of extra space, but you sit so high up that it's kind of funny, and it's a little bit harder to get into. So if that's something that's difficult, there is no assist step on this model specifically, so that's unfortunate. But you do have the same kind of materials on the door, so the plastic and then the textured material. 2 cup holders, like I mentioned, 1 little phone holder. You've got rear vents back here, which is great, USB-C, USB-A, and a full-size outlet back here as well. Lights, handles, all that kind of stuff. And then this rear window does slide, but it is not electronic, but you can open it if you need to. And I don't think the center console folds out. It does not, but these seats do lift up if you need to store bigger items back here and you don't want to put them on the seats. And you have that same Evotex material on these seating surfaces with the digital camo and the adrenaline red accents. Let's take it for a test drive. All right, let's take this Colorado for a little test drive. Let's get a start up here. And I will be taking the Colorado on a POV test drive where we'll do kind of a ASMR type, you know, no talking, just so you guys can hear what the vehicle sounds like, what all the surfaces sound like, what the buttons sound like, what it sounds like when you're driving, all that kind of good stuff. We'll definitely have that coming to the channel soon, so hit subscribe so you don't miss that. Let's just give it some juice real quick. So again, this has 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque, and I think you can feel it. Again, it's, you know, got a little delay. I don't know if you guys know this, but I drive an electric car, so I'm just used to no delay from pressing the acceleration to going, and it seems like every vehicle I get in has delay. And maybe it's just that all gas vehicles are like that, and I just haven't driven a gas vehicle in so long that I am not used to that and don't remember that. But it's still quick, like it'll still absolutely get going once you put your foot on the gas. We'll do it again here. Like, it's absolutely not slow by any means. It's just not like, again, 2.7 liter turbo max. This is still a large vehicle, it's still a heavy vehicle. It doesn't have a ton of horsepower. It does comparatively to other vehicles in the segment, but just in general, it's not the most horsepower. You're definitely gonna feel just that little bit of delay, but then it starts going, and it feels good once it does start going. And we're gonna take it up here, go out on the highway, get some highway speed, see how the passing is. But for normal city driving and for getting up to speed, no issues there. Let's try the cruise control here. Go ahead and start it up. There we go. And it does have, kind of looks like a lane keeping. We'll have to see how well it does. It's definitely doesn't seem to be keeping me away from the vehicle in front of me. It was speeding way up to that guy. I had to slow it down. That's weird. Not keeping me away from this car. It's speeding right up to this guy. And I've got the gap adjust set pretty far. But let's talk about overall comfort. I keep it real with you guys 100% on this channel all the time, and these seats are just not very comfortable. Maybe for you guys, if you're coming from a different vehicle, maybe these will be super comfortable seats for you. For me, I just don't really feel that they're that comfortable. They're kind of scratchy. They're not super bolstered. They're not super cushiony. They're just not the best. I have to be honest with you guys. They're not the best. But you do sit up nice and high, and I like that. And you can actually use this lever here to kind of pump yourself up a little more so you sit even higher up. And I like that for sure. You can see over the hood. Overall, the visibility is pretty good. Front windshield's pretty nice. The hood is a little high, so you kind of get some of the little accent pieces kind of protrude up into your field of view. Pretty large A-pillars actually, and no pocket window here. Pretty large side mirrors though, which is great, and a nice big rear view mirror, so the visibility out the back is fine. No issues really there. Camera view, It's not the best camera that I've seen, but it's better than ones I've seen on more expensive Subaru models. Steering wheel is massive though. This is a big honking steering wheel, and it's comfortable too. I like the kind of leatherette material that it's wrapped in. Textured horn, black Chevy bow tie, a little satin accent around there. Red accent stitching is always a nice touch as well. But as far as the usability of all of these systems, no issues, especially this infotainment system, the 11-inch over here. The driver information display, I think for my liking, is a little cluttered, but you all might like it that way. You might like all that vehicle information. I don't particularly care about all that vehicle information, but there is a nice clean view here that I'm using, and I really like this view because there's almost nothing on the screen except for your speed, dead center, what gear you're in, your adaptive systems, whatever you want to do. One thing I really like, which I know a lot of people don't, is having a lot of on-screen climate controls because they're finicky and hard to use while driving. Well, they've got you covered because the HVAC controls are pretty much all physical controls. Things like your lighting, that is going to be a software button. So you kind of get a little mix of both. That's what I was saying. You kind of get this old mix and this new mix. One thing is really interesting is your turn signal is like super quiet. Listen. It's like pretty deep, kind of bass heavy, which I don't actually mind. But let's go ahead and get a dB reading here at city speeds. We're at about 63 on average there, and then once we come to a stop here, we'll get an at idle sound as well, and then some highway speeds also. Obviously when you're accelerating, you're going to hear more of that engine noise, but when you're kind of cruising, it's pretty quiet. This is at idle. There is a truck right next to me, but 51 is the average at idle. All right, let's see how we do getting up to speed here on the highway. This is like a 65. We're at 40 right now, 42. That felt completely adequate to me. Punch it again, foot to the floor. You can hear it, it's loud. Let's get a sound test here at highway speeds. Average about 69, 70 maybe. It's all right. You can definitely hear a lot of wind noise, although it is a windy day today. But I mean, handling, like the acceleration was pretty good. I'd put it in the adequate category. We got up to speed pretty quick. We were able to accelerate and pass real quick. You know, if I put the pedal to the floor again, there's that delay right there. I'd put it down for probably like 1 or 2 seconds before it got up to speed. But you can really kind of go once you get going. That 2.7 liter 4-cylinder put in work. Although I think the camo is a little bit kind of goofy, I actually think it looks really good in this cabin. There's something about the camo accents with a little bit of hints of red. It kind of works. It may not be your all's aesthetic, but it looks kind of nice. I think it's kind of cool. Although the material on the seats is still not comfortable. Really, as far as functionality goes, this truck is pretty full featured. You've got a full-size outlet in the back seat for powering just about anything you need. Full-size outlet in the bed of the truck as well. Hooks, you got a rear camera back there. You've got the assist steps. All that's great, but you get a much more compact size vehicle overall than something like, you know, a Silverado or something. This is much more in the Tacoma Ridgeline type class. It's pretty well equipped comparatively to those vehicles. You're going to get more horsepower on something like this. You're going to get better technology, in my opinion. Some of the things that I think this vehicle is missing, though, are some form of heated seats. You get heated seats standard on just about every vehicle these days, except for like base models on the cheapest end of things. But even something like a base model Crosstrek, this is a truck, not a SUV, but I'm saying, like, as far as vehicles that people can afford, a baseline Malibu is probably going to have heated seats, or at least a very low trim. And this isn't a very low trim. This is a $43,000 Colorado here, and you don't even have heated seats. I think that's unfortunate, and I think they definitely should make that almost standard on anything that costs this much money. I guess as far as trucks go, it's not really that much money, but I'd still like to see it. Again, this is kind of a mid-trim towards the higher end, you know, a mid-trim overall. I really wish that we had a ZR2 and a ZR2 Bison so I could take a look at that. Without seeing the Bison up close, I don't know if I can can really recommend spending the extra money on that. I mean, that one's pushing $60,000. If you get the regular ZR2, it's going to be around $53,000. This one's about $43,000. Then if you go up to the Bison, it's going to be around $60,000. That's a lot more money. You're starting to push Silverado territory there. Really, you know, if you want something that's truck capable, but not quite there to the Silverado level, and still has some really nice technology and a really nice look overall, I think the Colorado Z71 is definitely one to check out, especially if you like camo. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like on the video if you loved it. Tell me in the comments down below, what do you think about the 2024 Colorado Z71? Do you want me to make a video on the ZR2 once we get one? Let me know down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. I'll see you in the next one.